How was your summer?
It was good. It was good. A lot of time here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's the off season like for you? Like, are you training here? Are you recovering? Or are you a mix of both?
Yeah, no, I was just doing a lot of rehab. So I've been here, basically all summer.
Yeah. I think one of the things that stands out to most is that you were playing basically your best basketball before you got hurt last year. How much of that kind of led to the overall disappointment of just having to go through another injury?
Yeah, I mean, I think, it was just frustrating at the time.
Yeah.
Like you said, I felt like I was, playing well and starting to find a role and that kind of thing. And so it was definitely tough. But, just got to kind of take things in stride. It was unfortunate, obviously, and took some time to get over. But
yeah,
we haven't gotten a chance to talk to you much since that injury. I mean, you mentioned it takes a while to get over that.
Yeah.
And we know your history. It's consecutive seasons now with season-ending injuries, freak accidents, it seems like both times. I mean, mentally, how hard is that to kind of, that process of, damn it happened again.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah, I think it is tough. But I think, when you surround yourself with the right people, obviously, my wife especially, she never lets me, have those days where I, feel sorry. Not, that she doesn't let me, but, there's no reason to feel sorry for myself. I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in at the end of the day. And so, just kind of understand that this was, for whatever reason, this was a part of my plan. And so just trying to spin it as positively as I can and come in here every day with a good attitude, because I believe that if you, the more positive you are with the rehab, I think the better it goes. So just, trying to not have very many days where, where I'm being really negative. But,
right.
It is tough, especially going through it again.
Do you question, like, whether or not you want to keep playing or kind of work your way through there? I mean,
Yeah, I think probably early on, there's a couple days where you're like, man, how am I going to do this again, really?
Right.
Another full year of rehab, basically.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So if I'm going to get back to playing, the rehab is what you have to do. So just trying to take it as serious as I can and be as diligent as I can.
What's your timeline like as far as returning to full court action?
Yeah, I mean, I've been able to jump in some 5-on-5 here recently.
Okay.
Some live play. I think, training camp I should be pretty full go as far as I understand. So, I think as long as it continues to respond well, then it should continue to trend upwards.
Excellent.
So you got the contract on the 15-man roster now.
Yeah.
Before you got hurt, that was your contract. And then you get hurt, and there's the money part of it that I'm sure is very difficult. But then you get the contract this summer. Were you even surprised at that point? Given we know how this organization feels about you and what they say, but injuries are injuries. Were you surprised at that point when you get that call over the summer and they say, hey, you're on the roster? Yeah,
I think like you said, it's a business at the end of the day, and so I was definitely a little surprised, but just very appreciative, really overall. To be able to kind of have the little bit of that security, understand that I'm going to be here for the year, and that way I can just keep burying my head, keep trying to rehab, get back healthy, and just try to help the team win.
Let's talk basketball a little bit.
Oh, hold on. I'm so sorry. On the flip side of that, though, the fact that they keep bringing you back, that's got to be like a sign of encouragement, right? That
Absolutely. I think it builds a little bit of confidence as well. And just that I feel like they believe in me, and I think that, gives me a little bit of belief in myself as well, just to continue to even work harder to get back, and just try to prove them right.
Yeah.
You and Davion Mitchell, kind of kindred defensive spirits, I think, in that backcourt.
Yeah.
How much are you looking forward to that? And do you think you guys could play together?
I mean, I think there's definitely situations where we can play together. Like you said, I think defensively it'd be fun to be out there with him. There's not very many guys that move their feet the way he does, and so it was fun watching him, over those last few months. So I definitely think we could get out there together. Both be picking up full, both having an impact on the game on that end and on the other end.
Mm-hmm. And then offensively, you were also having your best season. You were shooting the lights out. You were playing well. Spo trusted you to bring the ball up, get the offense initiated, and all these things. Are those also the things that you're working on and hoping that you can provide?
Yeah, for sure. I think, just trying to be the guy that I was at the time whenever I got hurt, and, continuing to hopefully improve at the same time.
What was clicking at that point? Because like David said, it kind of was all coming together at that moment.
For sure. I think, honestly, I was healthy. I was able to play for, several games in a row. Those are, for guys like me, that's like, that's kind of all that you've been waiting for. So I think, just having that opportunity, I just felt like I was ready, prepared, feeling confident, and whenever the time came, I was just able to step in.
When you're out on the missing time like that, do you kind of look at what's happening on the floor and kind of envision what you can do to add to your game or to continue to fit into whatever version of the roster that is?
Yeah, I think more of that, more than trying to add to the game, just trying to figure out ways that you could maybe help, maybe lift us up, maybe impact a couple more wins here and there.
Yeah.
And I think that the guys that we ended the season with did a great job. I think that there's obviously some things that I think that I can help with, and I think there's other things where there were just a little bit of growing pains there down the stretch. But I'm really looking forward to this group that we have and the year coming up.
One of the things our listeners talk about the most is that maybe there's no kind of typical point guard on the roster, but at the same time, we heard Eric Spoelstra say downstairs there are a number of kind of playmakers, ball handlers that can initiate the offense. Where do you see yourself fitting into that, and do you think that's a concern as far as not having that typical point guard on the roster?
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general the league doesn't. There's not like
it's not about versatility more than anything
else. There's not a ton of true pass first point guards.
Yeah.
But I think that we have, like Coach said, a lot of guys that are able to, if we need to initiate the offense, if we need to, look for others and things like that. I think we have a lot of guys that are able to do that. And whether that be, your traditional point guard or guys like Nico or anybody like that, I think we have a lot of very versatile guys.
That's a good point, yeah.
Defensively, what do you guys think you are going to try to accomplish at that end, other than getting stops, obviously, but you look at a team like the Thunder that just won the championship.
Yeah.
A lot of on-ball pressure, a lot of the stuff that you and Davion and a lot of guys on this roster do at a really high level. Are there elements of that you guys are going to try to adopt here, or what kind of is going to be the calling card?
Yeah,
on that end?
I think we're going to have to kind of find our own thing. You know what I mean? I think obviously, if you watch the playoffs, I think the Pacers and the Thunder both have a lot of ball pressure, a lot of picking up full court, things like that. So I'm sure a lot of the league will go toward a little bit more towards that. But I think everybody's going to have to find their own thing, what they're the best at, whether that's us picking up full or maybe it's applying pressure in the half court, anything like that. But I think defensively we'll be able to cause some issues.
Mm-hmm. I like to ask defensive players this question a lot because I think you talk to people around the league, even players. Some people say, defense is really about effort, about hard work. Part of it obviously is. I think that's kind of doing a disservice to really strong defensive players like yourself. I do think there's a skill element involved that gets overlooked. Do you agree with me, and what is that skill?
Man, I don't know if I could pinpoint what the skill is.
Yeah.
I think it's different for everybody, honestly. I think elite defenders do it in a lot of different ways. Some guys are really physical, other guys just move their feet really well, or they're very hard to screen. There's a lot of different skills. Some guys are elite defenders that are rim protectors, you know what I mean? So I think it's different for everybody, but I think obviously the effort level has to be there, or else it's not going to work. But I do think that there's definitely a skill to it.
What's yours? What would you say is your elite skill?
I think more than anything, I just try to be a step ahead of the play. Because I'm not the fastest, the most athletic guy out there, but I think, just understanding what teams are trying to get to, being in the right spots is really what helps me more than anything. How
do you do that? Is that anticipatory kind of instinct thing, or is that film work? Is that homework?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think, honestly, I've always defense has always kind of come a little easier to me, just being in those spots and things like that. But I think, also just studying, understanding also what we're trying to do as a team. You know what I mean? Like if I'm doing something and I'm just going rogue, it's not gonna, it's gonna look bad. So just making sure that I'm also doing everything within what we're trying to accomplish.
We're asking a couple of players some before I flip this paper over, one question that I want to ask you. Did you do anything off topic? Did you do anything this summer other than working out and rehabbing that you had never done before? Anything new?
Are you a native Miamian at this point now? Like you've been here for your seasons?
I've been here a few seasons. I wouldn't say I know everywhere around town, but definitely feel pretty comfortable being here now.
Yeah, where's your wife from, if you don't mind my asking?
My wife?
Yeah.
She's from Illinois. We're both from the Midwest.
Okay, so yeah.
This is
it was definitely culture shock?
Yeah, a little bit of a culture shock, but we love it here. We've
Excellent.
really gotten used to it.
Do you have anything in Spanish that you're picked up that you're able to just say?
Just rattle off? No, my Spanish isn't great. I say, I'm trying to think, like if I get in an Uber or something, maybe Lo siento, mi español no es muy bien.
Oh, hey, you nailed it.
Yeah. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
You're covered.
We're asking everybody this question. It's the old cafeteria meme.
Uh-oh.
You get to choose a table. So take a look.
Let's
take
see.
a minute here. Choose the table that you want to sit at for lunch, and tell us why.
Man, I might choose table 5 right there. You
There it
said
is.
you get it at a table with CB and UD. It's gonna and Weeze is in there. You know, I think it's a great mix of personalities, a lot of laughs. That's probably where I'll
I
find
think that
myself.
speaks more about your personality, kind of an old soul, right?
Yeah,
You want to
man.
hang out with a coach.
Yeah, he's trying to hang out with the coaches, trying to ingratiate himself. He's like, hey, maybe a little bit more playing time comes my way.
UD and CB are hilarious. So
Yeah.
it'd be a good time for
Are
sure.
you surprised by how good UD is on TV?
Honestly, no. I think he's just himself.
good.
You know what I mean? He's just really good, and he's just being himself. So I think it's cool for him for sure.
Thanks, Drew. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, no
Thank
problem.
you.
Appreciate you guys.
See you up in Boca.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll
Good
see
luck.
you up there.